So, Helen, thank you very much for coming on as a guest today. So, why don't you start off by telling everyone a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Fine. Hello, Adam. Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm delighted to be here. I think so. A little about me. I am Australian, living in England by choice. Yes, I apparently reversed the migration trend. And I have been in the nursing home industry, adult social care, since the 2nd of February 1998. I have
Right.
had good fortune to work with private providers, church and charitable groups, community owned organisations across home care, retirement living, sheltered housing, low care, high care, nursing homes, dementia care, the whole gamut of seniors living. And I think roughly I've been responsible for a total of about 100 nursing homes, 20 or 30 retirement villages, and 55,000 home care customers. So it's been a journey of learning in an industry. I came in from a very different industry. I came from international rescue and national roadside assistance. So when I started, I really was looking at this industry with a very different lens. And I think that has been more helpful than not, and certainly has led to me asking a lot of questions, which I still do. So yes, and I enjoy it immensely. I think a major part of the enjoyment for me is the caliber of people who work in the industry and how much I learn from them all of the time. So I feel constantly excited, a little tired from time to time, and
Ah,
learning a lot from people. So it's a great industry to be a part of.
yeah, fabulous. And Helen and I were just chatting actually before we turned on record that Allegra, which has 13 homes across central and southern England. Actually, one of its homes is in Fordingbridge, which is my hometown. And I drive past it frequently because it's one of those homes that we were saying is actually kind of on it's Fordingbridge, for those who don't know, which probably most of you, it's actually a small town in the New Forest, and the kind of main road through it has the Allegra home just there on the right. I can picture it right now. It looks like a lovely home. I think it has a very good reputation as well. I can tell
Yeah.
you that, everyone who's listening. So there you go. Great. So let's get straight in, Helen. Thank you. So the household model of care. So for those who don't know, why don't you explain, start off if you can, about what it is?
Sure. So I found coming into the industry it a little perplexing the way residents live in nursing homes.
Hmm.
And over the years, I have done a lot of research, focus groups with placement decision makers and also with staff separately. And I've asked everybody what we should change. What have we got to get out of bed tomorrow to do better, to do more of? What have we got to do less of? And for the residents' relatives who are involved in the placement of their loved one into a nursing home, it's a really anxious, difficult time. It's very confronting. And they're looking for, it's strange because the way the service is delivered is traditionally in a dormitory model of rooms where everybody has their own room and there's a communal kitchen,
Hmm.
and you go from living in your private home to where you can be living with 60 of your nearest and dearest that you've never met before.
Yes.
I can understand how that's come about, but that's not living.
Hmm.
Anyway, I got lots of advice from these people. I probably had two or 300 people tell me what they needed differently, what they enjoyed about the homes. And then with the staff, it was also, I don't know how many times I heard, that we want to do more with residents. We love our residents. We want to do the fun stuff, but
Hmm.
there is enough time. There's never enough time, blah, blah, blah. And then over the next 10 years, I was that person who used my annual leave to travel internationally and visit other countries where they were getting great results looking after their seniors. And I wanted to understand what they were doing differently to what we were doing in Australia at the time. So
Right.
all of this together in a model of care, which brought in changes to the built form. So it means that we actually make sure that the building suits a more bespoke, smaller community. So instead of moving into a nursing home of 60, you're moving into a household of perhaps 16. And because most of our customers come from within a 5-mile radius, there's a very strong chance you're going to know somebody. So that changes the dynamic straight away. And so putting together the staff input on wanting to do more for residents and more with residents, and the resident relative feedback about wanting to feel more welcome, more relaxed, etc. And the international study, I wrote this model of service, and then it won the National Innovation Award for the industry in Australia in 2013 because of the outcomes we were able to demonstrate for residents. And so now, fast forward, here I am in the UK. I'm delighted to be working with my partners and my colleagues in Allegra Care, and we are rolling the household model across our homes because it does actually get benefits for residents and staff. And I think that's really important for people to understand, that we can demonstrate. St George's Nursing Home, our home in Western-super-Mare, won the National Care Award for Best for Resident Wellbeing last year in May 19. And that was based on demonstrating the results we achieved with the household model, where over a period of 3 months, we're able to demonstrate that the average weight gain for residents was 4.2 kilos. Now, that's a huge thing because that underpins better skin integrity, better mobility, better sleep, etc. And how does that happen? This is the really perplexing thing, Adam, in that it's really, the household model is very simple. We have brought back the activities of daily living that people used to do before something happened and they couldn't live well at home. And this was the conundrum that I couldn't really understand when I first came into the industry, how a lady who was living at home in the family home may have fallen over and broken her hip, but all of a sudden that meant she couldn't live in her own family home anymore, so she needed to move into a nursing home where apparently she wasn't able to do anything for herself. She wasn't able to cook anymore. She wasn't allowed to make decisions on what she wanted to do, and she went from having her entire home to having her bedroom. And so that is what we want to turn around. So in our household model, we have domestic kitchens in our living rooms, and it's an open plan lounge, kitchen, diner, and we have kitchen tables, we have small teapots. Our food service our food is cooked or finished in the domestic kitchen. So a resident will be sitting at a kitchen table and will be watching staff finish the lasagna, finish cooking the chicken in the oven right there. And that is just so homely. A lot of the household model is about our sensory enjoyment for where we are and what we do. Now, making that really work, in theory, it's great, but the power behind this is really my colleagues in the sites embracing it. So it is absolutely a values match. And I would say that it's not for everyone. That's great. We're not trying to be all things to all people. But for when we buy a home, we talk about the household model and what staff need to do differently and why we do it. And taking residents from feeling a bit bored and having everybody tell them what to do to where they feel they own more of the space and they can make more of their decisions. That doesn't happen if you don't have site colleagues who get it, who understand how important that is and want to learn how to do it. So the other half of the coin, or the other side of the household model coin, is the staff competency development, where they are able to make more decisions with residents and really, honestly, get out of the residents' way so residents can make more of their own decisions. They're small decisions. They're not, enormous life-changing decisions. It might be, do I feel like a cup of coffee right now? And if so, I'm going to the kitchen to make myself one. And as much as that resident is able to make that coffee, that's what they do. Of course, they're able to help them and support them. So it is about a partnership with the staff and it is about us as a provider providing more learning and development of our colleagues. So not only do they become competent across a whole range of streams and topics and things, the confidence in that the site colleagues develop as their relationship with their residents, because staff are recruited to a particular household and that's where they work day in, day out. So there are no strangers in the household. The staff work as a team. So each morning they will decide who is going to be on breakfast duty and who is going to be assisting residents. And it is because it depends on teamwork being developed, which really works when individuals feel valued and visible as well. So it's a lot of, in the old days, they would call them soft skills. These days, I think we call them values that base the behaviours that we want. So I'm intensely passionate about it. And your biggest job today will be getting me to stop talking about it because of the results it gets for my colleagues. You know, I couldn't do what my colleagues in the homes do. They're just amazing, the work that they do with our residents and how much they care day in, day out. It's just brilliant. So, but they haven't always had the opportunities handed to them that they would perhaps like. So I have seen so many people realize the purpose of their life working in this industry is realized and respected as part of the household model, because they are to residents as well. They're not just a number. They're not just as carer. They actually matter to the residents, and we value that. So it's really important.
And can I ask you, fascinating, the one of the first things that jumps to my mind is, you know, the design. You're talking about a domestic, the idea of domestic kitchens. So if we walked into Allegra Care home, how might we see like the design and layout maybe a little bit different? Would we see, just talk me through a little bit about
Sure.
that?
So you might walk into, again, I will pick on I'll use St George's. I could have used Blossom, but let's use St
Yeah.
George's. So you walk into St George's, and before we implemented it, it's a beautiful home, but it have the communal sitting room
Right.
and individual restaurant tables, at square tables at seat 4, and you would see bain maries being wheeled out from the commercial kitchen with big gastronome trays serving, you know, 24 or 48 serves in each one, and somebody sort of plating up meals and put in front of a resident. In the household model, you'd walk in and that room now has a domestic kitchen in it, and it has kitchen tables in it. So residents will sit at the kitchen table and they can watch the staff preparing the food. And then the food is put down the centre of the table for residents to assist themselves, much as they are able, and
Right, got it.
and
Yeah.
our sit with the residents to have the meals. So it's much more normal, like people coming together and having, that's a very normal thing for us to do.
Got it, yeah.
If I pick on the example of lasagna, if we make lasagna in the traditional model, it'll be in the big gastronome trays and brought in on the bakery. In our model, our commercial kitchen will do a lot of the prep and actually layer it up, put it in, say, Le Creuset lasagna dishes, and it is then taken to the domestic kitchen ovens to cook there. So for the next 45 minutes or so, you're going to smell the lasagna cooking. You're going to see the staff making the salads to go with the lasagna. And that's the real difference. One gentleman, as an example, when I was designing this and implementing it, I did a bit of a time and motion study, and I saw in the traditional model that it was about 42 minutes between when the gentleman's coffee and piece of toast left the commercial kitchen and got to his bedside. And people were wondering why he was losing weight. Like such an attractive thing to have for breakfast, as opposed to now in the household, he wakes up, he can smell the jolly toast cooking, and toast and bacon and things like lasagnas cooking really do great thing. All of those smells wafting around the household.
Sure, yeah, of course.
And of course, because it's visible and it's in their space, it's easier for residents to get there. So it's easier for them to come out of their bedroom and get to the kitchen where it's all happening, and they can sit down. Now, not obviously, some of our residents, a lot of our residents can't mobilise independently, but they want to go to the kitchen, they want to come out, so the staff can assist them to that. And really, that is how you overcome people being lonely and bored in a nursing home. In spite of having all of these people around them, they hide away because, they don't feel comfortable. And, sharing meals together and watching food being presented or prepared, it really it's a very calming thing. And most of our customers have been cooks and housewives for 80 years or 60 years of their 80 years.
Yeah.
And so they want to be involved in the food production. Some of them say, oh God, I've done enough cooking, I just somebody else do it. Others really involved.
I can empathize with that. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So as I say, it is a lot of very simple things, but trick is, of course, it's quite complicated to wind back how we have become for all the right reasons, very engaged in doing everything for residents and presenting them with a meal. And, it's just not right. So it's not living, as we say, it's just not living. And we want not everybody can engage fully. Not everybody gets involved in the lounge kitchen diner. But what everybody does benefit from is the more relaxed vibe that each home gets, each household gets. And that then is another great thing, which I think is very important, because I'm a big believer in each nursing home belonging to its local community. So when you've got 4 households in one home, you can specialize. They end up having a different culture. And so, for example, Orchard View household in St George's became a household for people who wander with purpose, because that was what the need was in the local community. The hospital and local authority was saying, we've got a lot of people presenting with these needs. And if you're someone who's cognitively intact, having somebody walking in and out of your bedroom or playing with your things and interfering with your belongings is really distressing. So, and it's the same for families. But if you're in a household, for example, my father, when he wandered with purpose, he was in a household where other people did it as well. And we as the families were, okay, cool, we know this happens. And it's just the way things are today. So I think it makes it more comfortable. It means as a home, you're able to more flexibly meet the local community needs and change as those needs arise. So that's what I mean. Every nursing home is trying to meet the needs of its local community.
Yeah.
We serve people from within a 5-mile radius. So, it's very important that we reflect what that community needs.
Yeah, and just in terms of a bit of context. So you're talking about the 2 homes you mentioned. So how many residents would be living at one of those care homes at any point in time?
So in a care home or in the household?
Well, yeah, I was going to ask about the care home and then the household after that.
Right. And we have care homes that are size 26 residents, and we have care homes that are 80 residents.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's, they're all different
So,
sizes.
for example, a care home with 80 residents. So, these households you'd have households within this 80 resident home.
So you have to look at the built form that you have. I mean, there's no such thing as a perfect nursing home, full stop.
Yeah.
And when you're buying going concern homes, you have to take what you've got. I mean, work with what you've got. Let's be practical about it.
Yeah.
When I look at one of my 80-bed homes, I can see that we will have 2 households on one floor, but we will only have 1 household on another floor because the amount of walking space for people to give people distance and space is limited. Ideally, in my model, the household model, you'd have 16 to 18 residents. You need enough for people to still feel that they're not highlighted So there's a little bit of anonymity if they want it, but
Mm.
equally they get to know each other quite quickly.
Yeah.
And if they start to argue with a couple of people, there's still got to be plenty for them to talk to and have fun with.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. I
Yeah.
see. So, the I'm just trying to envisage if the homes that you're mentioning. So, you would have like am I correct if I'm right or wrong here? You'd have I think what you call the commercial kitchen, correct me, and then the domestic area, domestic kitchen as well. Is that right?
Yes. So
Yeah.
each household has a stick
Mm,
kitchen fully
yeah.
equipped with hob and oven
Right.
and microwave and
Yeah.
refrigerator. And the design that we've created is where there's also an island, and on
Mm,
the island acts as a bit of a barrier, so a staff member can
mm,
be over there washing up or over there on the hob, and
mm.
another member is at the island chopping vegetables, etc. On the other side, the residents will sit there and watch what's going on, but it's a natural place for them to hang out, if you will. And
Mm,
on
mm.
that island, we also then always have drinks and fruit that's all prepared. So we find residents are eating much more fruit and drinking more of the fruit juice and the waters and
Yeah, I
stuff
see. Yeah.
because they're there, and it's a very social thing to
Mm,
do. That
mm,
the commercial kitchen, every home has one, and it's very important that the food service team understands this because they are really your control point for
mm,
food
mm,
safety. And whilst we train everybody on how to deliver the food safely, it's very important that your commercial kitchen, your chef particularly, is on board and understands what we're doing. Because we're very lucky with the food service colleagues we've got, where they love it, because they also then will come out and have afternoon tea baking sessions with the residents, where a resident will put forward a recipe that their mother used to make. And so, together with the chef in the domestic kitchen, the residents will sit there and tell the chef what he's doing wrong, as they use mum's recipe to make the items that will then be served for afternoon tea or supper. So that's great. That thrills them that they're doing that. And there's also, the quality of the food service team is highlighted. And we're very lucky in this industry. Generally, the food service teams, our foodies are great.
mm.
The great food that they provide day in, day out is magnificent. So they get involved in it as well, and really do take a lead on how to.
Mm.
I mean, we've had to train people. A lot of my colleagues didn't know how to cook at all before they had short order cooking lessons as part of
Right,
the household
right.
training.
Yeah,
So, that's great fun as well. We have a
yeah.
whole day where we're doing short order cooking, and that will be everything from scrambling eggs to making jam and cream, whipped cream, cooking the scones, and grilling a steak or whatever. So the idea is that if a resident gets out of bed at 2 o'clock in the morning and is hungry and feels like scrambled eggs,
Mm.
have the makings of that in the household kitchen, and the staff member knows how to make it properly, and it just happens. So it's oiling the wheels for people to make those
Mm.
little decisions whenever they want to.
Yeah, I see. And just and again on the design of it. So there's a degree of being like custom built,
Mm.
correct? So for those providers who may be listening and thinking, okay, but how can I maybe think about this if I know the design of my home's not right, but I like the idea, and within those constraints, how could they start to think about this?
Yeah, that is a really great question, because we have a lot of homes here that really wouldn't be suitable, or because the way that the kitchen currently is in
Mm,
the middle of a fire space, and it's self-contained and got to stay that way so you don't compromise fire safety. So we have one home that is like that. It's a cute little cottage, and what we do there is modify. So where we can't do all of the cooking there, we've removed bain maries, or we're using hot skillets to bring food to the table, so that there's still an element of the food being prepared in front of the resident in time for the smells to participate or dissipate, I beg your pardon.
mm,
And
mm.
so you've got to be creative.
Yeah, I
But
see.
I think, Adam, there is no one way to do the household model. That
Mm,
is most important thing. I can and will invite the industry to come and see what we do if it
Yeah.
inspires them, because what they will do in a household model will be different to what we will do. But the end result is that every resident in their place and our place will feel more in control and more relaxed, and the staff will enjoy it more as well. So
Mm.
I'm worried about that. And there is no one right way, because none of our buildings are perfect. And it's yeah, it is that simple. It's
Yeah,
a
that's great. And I'm
well,
curious, Helen, the household model we're talking about, and we all know how important the meal times are, and the ritual of preparation, which we all know. And as I said, so what you're doing here is just keeping that going within the care home environment. I'm curious to know if this household model, how that dissipates or applies to other, you're talking about activities, for example, but how else above and beyond the meals and the food time, and tell me a little bit more about that.
sure. So, first of all, part of our training that we provide to us
Mm,
when we're introducing the household model is about the delivery of activities. If you go back to the central tenet being that in this household today, what happens today is decided by the residents today. So, if you're a staff member there, you've got to learn how to run activities that have one-to-one time, and also do group things as well. And you've got to learn to really risk assess with every resident as well what you do. That's a very big piece of learning for people, understanding, Mabel might want to go to the pub today for lunch, but today may not be a great day because of the weather or whatever else is happening. So the staff member being able to risk assess like that is very important. But they've got to be able to do the activities. Housekeeping, the housekeeping team in every nursing home, they're gold star people. I have no idea how they do their great stuff. You tend to find that they gravitate to one household or another. So whilst they still work across the rota, because let's face it, nobody's got the wherewithal to just miraculously add more people to the rota, they tend to gravitate more to one household to another. And we also show the household staff how to do some of the light housekeeping, which, shock of shocks, some of our residents actually want to do with them.
mm.
So we do have a number of places where the laundry basket comes in where it's being cleaned, and one lady really does want to fold the laundry. There's a gentleman who used to be a merchant seaman, so he's involved in cleaning the table. And
Mm.
some residents really want to get involved in dusting and doing the light housekeeping in their own rooms. So our staff know how to do all of that, because if right this minute, Mrs. Jones decides that today's the day she wants to play poker, or she wants to wash all of the ornaments in her room as part of having it cleaned, the staff member needs to know how to handle that, and handle it because they feel comfortable and confident, with a smile, and have fun doing it. And that's the difference. So so activities are impacted. I think outings, each household, when it's mature, you will find that a household is doing its own thing. So we will have a household that has decided today they're having a pub lunch. So they organise their cabs with like the care team, the care companions and the care partner in the household, and the household residents. They book the table and off they go for a pub lunch, where the other households won't be. They might have decided to go gardening, or they might be watching
I
movies. Or
see. Yeah, yeah.
so it's that where they each develop their own personality
Mm.
and their hobbies, really.
Yeah, fascinating. Thank you. I'm curious here. So this household model of care, is this like the Helen Jones branded, patented model, or I guess maybe you've brought this from ideas from people you've met. Tell me a little bit the actual name. Where did that come from?
Okay, so I called it the household model because I couldn't think of anything that was descriptive and straightforward, and I didn't want anything too elaborate. I would like, if anybody is listening and they've got a great name that we could use, that would be most welcome. I think this model of care, yes, it is pretty much what I have developed, and it was implemented in my homes in Australia with
Right.
the group I was working with, and they have given a name. It's called Better Together, and I'm very very proud of that. What we
Mm.
achieved, and that I was also in a wonderful position of having our own development team. So they actually designed the household model in to all our new nursing homes. And that, one thing I would brag about from there, if I'm honest, is that with the household model in our nursing homes there, 126 bed home, filled in 6 weeks.
Mm.
And I had a couple of them because,
Well, that's for some kind of record.
yeah, I think so. But, it's because it feels more comfortable for people, it's more engaging and less frightening.
Yeah.
So that, and I think that's what's happened where we've implemented it here as well, where when you're taking people through the home and you're explaining the household model and they can feel that it's nice to sit down at the kitchen table, etc. They feel the difference between that and a quasi clinical dormitory model. And so that does help with occupancy as well.
Mm, fabulous. Well, it sounds amazing, and thank you for sharing everything. And I do hope that people have been listening attentively to this because it evidently just when you listen to it, it all makes sense, and I think we can see why. So thank you. Now, Helen, is there anything actual fact that you've not communicated that you feel is important to communicate? Something that perhaps you've missed out?
Sure, sure. I think, as you can tell, I'm a very proud advocate of this industry.
Mm,
We do walkthroughs of people who are inquiring to place a loved one. It's really important to own up to your model of service, whatever it is, and work out whether the person that the prospective resident and their family are going to enjoy it or not, because we should not try to be all size, one size fits all. We are
mm,
a mature industry, and plenty of times when we take people through the household model, they say, "Oh, but mum really shouldn't be cooking, or mum really shouldn't be handling pots of tea and
mm,
things like that." If they're the sort of people who want mum to sit down and be wrapped in cotton wool and do
mm,
nothing, the household model is not right for them. And
mm,
I love being able to recommend a beautiful competitor's home down the
mm,
road,
mm,
because what we all benefit from customers being delighted with where they live. So, and I think the competitors that we've got lots of lovely competitors who do very good quality service. We should be happy to refer across from one to the other to
mm,
match the model of service that you provide to what the people are looking for, so that from day
mm,
one, everybody is delighted and it's a success.
mm. Fabulous, thank you. Now, Helen, finally, if people want to maybe pick your brains a little more, how can they best get in touch with you?
Just email me at Allegra Care.
All right, that's perfect. Great. So, Helen, thank you so much for being a guest on the Care CEO Success Stories podcast.
Thank you very much. Wonderful opportunity. Thank you.